Welcome to Remedy står der her på skærmen med nogle af deres fine hovedkarakterer for deres spil, de har lavet igennem årene. For jeg er nemlig taget herover til Remedy i Finland for at prøve at controlle og få en snak med nogle af folkene bag.
The hiss escaping the building would be the end. Pretty shitty world out there if you ask me, but I wouldn't want the hiss to destroy it.
The hiss? That's what we're calling him? That's catchy.
Don't worry. It'll be quick and painless.
My job as a narrative designer is to coordinate with other departments on the team about getting the story into the game for the player to experience. And so I do work with the writing team, I work with lighting, with sound, with level design, with gameplay, with environment art. And we all work together to help put the story, I guess, into the game, and everyone brings their own discipline to the story, and it's my job to get these people talking and also write design documents for, you know, how the player moves through the space and experiences the story.
Usually Remedy has been more about like very linear and like very story-focused games, and this seems a lot more open. What would you say has been like the biggest challenges to changing the format like that?
Wow. Well, I mean, exciting challenges. So for example, we started building with a world first. So thinking about the world and how the logic works. So who is the bureau? What is the oldest house? What are the hiss, for example? And then building out a world that is deep enough to encompass many stories. Then one challenge was picking one, and then how to articulate that in an open-ended world, which means that players can experience side missions at different times, which means we had to think about when we wanted that information, narrative information about the world and those characters come through in the story, but not give away what's happening in the main storyline. So we had a lot more to keep track of.
The main weapon you have is a very unique weapon. What made you go with that, like, compared to like more traditional weapons?
That's a really good question. I don't know where the origin of that idea came from, but I know that tying, I mean, in a game where you are shooting a lot, it makes sense to tie what you're constantly doing not only to the character but to the role that she's in, and also to the larger story. So the service weapon is an object of power that is unique in a way that only the director can hold it. And it shifts into different weapon forms. And we thought, if we're making a new weird, I guess strange game, why do we need to necessarily conform to the conventions of an ordinary weapon? Why can't it shift and change? Why would you need to find ammo for it all the time? In fact, you don't. You know, you just need to let it magically sort of reset, I suppose. But I think in that, we're very careful not to make sure that things seem whimsical in Control. Like, it's not about that, it's more otherworldly forces and supernatural things have a logic to them, but they are also very physical. So even the style of the service weapon, you know, has been really considered to not only convey that it is powerful, but also, you know, you can see the different weapon forms and things like that. So although I say magical, it's definitely not. We want to still go with strange and weird as opposed to whimsy and magic, if that makes sense. So, I mean, that was an interesting line to ride narratively as well, because, you know, unexplained things happen in the world and they must be seen as to have their own, like, physicality and presence, as opposed to, you know, more dipping into fantasy and sci-fi. So we very much were all the time like coming back to, moving away from that and coming back to new weird and Control and defining the world with these keywords. So, yeah.
A director needs a team, my management team. These people know the secrets of the Bureau as well as I do, some even better. But things change when you become director.
Men ja, det var altså alt her fra Remedy i Finland. Jeg håber, du ligesom mig glæder sig til Control, der kommer lige om lidt. Hvad synes du om det? Skriv som altid dine tanker lige herunder. Og så ses vi bare næste gang.